Here's everything you need to make your camera career ready for under $1,000. Now, today is going to be a follow-up to the previous video, your first run and gun rig, so check it out in the links below. So think of this video as a guide to building up your camera rig for a more professional capacity, but at a good price point. Everything I'm using here today is fairly universal across most current day video cameras. So even though I'm using an R5 Mark II with a 15 to 35mm lens, you can still follow along regardless of what camera you have. But let's quickly jump into what's returning from the previous video. Number one, a camera cage. Now you absolutely need this if you plan on attaching accessories to your video camera. It also is a metal frame, so it does provide a bit of guard to the camera body as well. And do keep in mind that every camera body is a different shape, so you are going to need a compatible camera cage. So make sure you're getting the right camera cage for the right camera. Number two, a side handle. Now you're definitely going to need a side handle if you want to have a firm grip on your camera, as you don't want to have your hand directly underneath the camera lens, as that can honestly mess with the stabilization of your camera, even with the stabilization turned on. So having a side grip here keeps everything clear and gives you a good bit of stability. Then you have a side handle. Now a side handle is basically good for attaching additional accessories, easy carrying around, and low angle tracking shots. After all that, make sure to get yourself a directional mic. Now, a directional mic is essential for most video cameras, as the audio inside video cameras is awful. So basically with this audio here, I have a directional mic, which means that it's getting the audio at who I've pointed the camera at, as opposed to me behind the camera, which I don't want. Now I'm using the Vala S20. It's a fairly inexpensive microphone from SmallRig. It just gives me directional audio and a clearer signal. I have also placed the mic in a different position to the previous video. Originally I did have it up here directly in line with the handle, but I've placed it more to the side because I have to attach additional accessories, and it is going to be difficult to carry this camera around with the mic here, unfortunately. So I put it to the side here, but it's still pointed kind of at the center, so it is still directional. It is still getting clear audio at whatever I pointed it at. So that's all the previously mentioned stuff. Let's jump into what's new about this camera. In a previous video, I did use an external monitor on this camera. It was basically my phone Bluetooth to the camera while using a phone clamp. I have now swapped this out now that I've got a bit more cash for a more upgraded monitor. This is the newer F100 7-inch screen, and as you can see, it's a massive difference. Literally, it's a massive screen. So not only can I see more clearly, it means my client can also see more clearly. I am also reusing my swivel mount from the previous monitor setup, the SmallRig swivel mount. Pretty damn standard, although I will say make sure it's very tight, not just on the monitor end, but on the hot shoe end as well. As I do find with the SmallRig swivel mounts, if they're not incredibly tight, you can find it gets a bit loose over time. So, make sure that is good and solid on. It is for me. This monitor is incredibly cheap as far as monitors go, but you're not getting all the bells and whistles of other external monitors. So you're not getting the external recording, you're not getting the focus peaking or the waveform reading. It really is just designed to be a larger screen for your camera in a clearly placed position. Now for powering, the monitor is powered on its own. It's not connected to the camera for powering, so do invest in an NPF battery. I'm using the NPF 550, which is from SmallRig. I do really like this battery because even if I don't have the charger for the battery, it does have a USB-C port on the front here, which actually means I can charge it via any sort of run-of-the-mill phone charger, or even by a portable battery. Basically anything with a USB-C port can charge its battery, and that's going to get me out of a pinch in some cases. And yeah, with the swivel mat here, as you can see, I can sort of just adjust it quite easily, very easy. Again, I would caution against sort of swinging the monitor around too much, as that can loosen the hot shoe here and you will risk the monitor falling out. So maybe just tilt back and forth like this for the meantime. And if you do have to spin it around, stop everything, make sure everything's tight before doing that. Now that we have the monitor on top, we want to actually connect it to the camera to get a signal. And the way we do that is via HDMI cable. And there are three things you got to consider when getting an HDMI cable. First off, you want to make sure the HDMI is the correct one. So the monitor here takes a full HDMI, and the camera body here also takes a full HDMI. Therefore, I'm going to need a full HDMI to full HDMI cable. But some cameras will only take a micro HDMI. In those cases, I'm going to need a full HDMI to micro HDMI cable. So do make sure whatever camera you have to check the HDMI port beforehand. Number two, you want to make sure you have a coiled HDMI cable. Now, a lot of cameras, you can just use a standard HDMI cable to connect it, but what I find is they're either very long or there's a lot of slack to them and there's a risk of snagging and it just doesn't look very nice. With a coiled HDMI, as you can see, it's a lot more compact, it fits a lot more nicely on the camera, and there's no risk of the cable snagging and getting pulled off. That being said, sometimes the cable can get pulled out of the camera port, so it is good to invest in a cable clamp on the side of the cage to further lock in the HDMI cable into your camera. All right, so we've got the monitor attached. We're getting a great sort of signal and visual from it. Now let's attach the next big upgrade. Next up, we have something for better light control, more protection to your camera lens, as well as a more professional look. This is a small rig matte box with a VND filter. Now, what a VND filter is a variable ND filter, and you absolutely need to get an ND filter for your camera, no matter what you're shooting. An ND filter is basically sunglasses for your camera lens, and it controls the exposure into the camera, and honestly, I recommend it for anyone that plans on shooting in direct sunlight. So yeah, as you can see, it's diffused the light significantly, so this is looking horrible in a sort of more controlled lit space, but in a more outdoor condition, this is going to give you perfect exposure. Now, of course, you can adjust the exposure settings on your camera, but your ISO can only go so low, so it's not going to make a difference to direct sunlight outdoors, and your shutter speed is kind of locked off to your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 25 frames per second, you're going to have a shutter speed of 1/50th. If you're shooting at 120 frames per second, you're going to have a shutter speed of 1/240th. And that basically just leaves your aperture, where while you can filter out the light into your lens using the aperture, you are going to lose that bokeh effect that you might want. So basically, you'll be making a creative compromise for a technical limitation, and you kind of want to reduce that, and fortunately an ND filter can do that. So this does take a minute to do right. You want to get this matte box on good and firm onto the lens, otherwise it will just sort of pop off randomly. And this matte box in particular will fit lenses with a filter diameter of 67mm to 82mm. So that's going to fit most ranges of lenses. As you can see, it does hang a bit lower than the camera body itself. So the problem there is when you rest the camera right, the matte box will pop off. So I do recommend putting a tripod plate on the base of your camera body, just so everything's, evenly laid out. And when you rest the camera down, you're not risking the matte box popping off. And because this is a variable ND filter, I can actually switch out to different levels of filtration on the lens, and I just adjust it to the little dial on the matte box here. So that's a camera rig for under $1,000, minus the cost of your camera and lens, which is an arm and a leg. I will be doing a follow-up video with a $2,500 kit, so stay tuned for that. But right here is a quick setup, and that matters more than ever nowadays. Because in today's world, everyone has a phone and everyone's a content creator, and you gotta compete with that. Except the problem with phones is they are constrained to phone content. So whatever you shoot on a phone is gonna be staying on a phone. You can't expand it, crop it, or even color grade it all that deeply with phone footage. It just doesn't look great. But phones are quick and easy, and that's why they are so popular. Honestly, with the right camera rig and the right auto settings, you can have a camera that operates fast and easy and doesn't have any of the shortcomings of a phone. And yeah, a phone is always going to be quicker to set up, but at least with this camera rig here, you don't have a camera rig that takes 13 minutes to an hour to set up. Maybe 10 minutes if you get really good at it. You still have something that's quick to set up and better footage. So if you want to compete with or even just step up from phones, master the art of building a solid compact rig like this one here. So that's my mid-range rig setup done. So are there any accessories you reckon I'm missing on this camera rig? What should I be attaching to this camera next? Let me know in the comments below.